Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be showcasing the use of Bolt.new, which is a vibe coding or AI assisted coding platform, and how I used it to build and launch a web application in one day. This is a super useful application that I have been wanting to build for a while now, and so I was really happy to see just how easy this was to do and what a great outcome it was. The application that I built relates to train travel and scheduling. It was just a great little test case for using the technology and see what it was capable of. I live on a street where I've got two different train stations at each end of my street on two different train lines. And so in the morning, when I go to leave and travel into the city, I just want to know when the next train is between those two stations. There's some apps out there that come close to meeting this need. Here in Sydney, there's one called TripView that's very popular. I've used it for a long time. And there's also Google Maps, which ironically I worked on, and I specifically worked on the transit part of Google Maps here in Sydney when I worked for them for a couple of years. Neither of those solutions exactly solved for what I needed because they required a number of clicks to get through and be able to compare the information. So I just wanted a single page that gave me that. I was able to pull together the required APIs, pull together the prompts, pass that through to Bolt.new, and build out the application I needed in a single day. I'm now using that web application on a daily basis for my commute, and I think it's an idea that could definitely be expanded on and turned into a fully commercialized product. With that in mind, let's jump in. I'm going to step you through some of the tooling I used, how I went about it, and hopefully that'll bring this to life a little bit more for you. Okay, so the starting point for my planning of this app was building out a custom GPT. For those not familiar, this is a feature that you get access to as part of the ChatGPT Plus subscription, $20 a month, well worth the money. And that allows you to then set up these specific versions of ChatGPT that you can give some instructions and some documents to and get it to do some interesting tasks for you. I use custom GPTs all through my business and just extensively and every time I'm working on a new project. So you can see in here the working title for my application was WhenNext Assistant. This ChatGPT is here to assist with planning and development of the app. And I give some instructions around helping define the requirements and planning and helping to navigate and understand the Transport for New South Wales API documentation, which I knew was going to be absolutely central to this idea. And you can see that I've uploaded a whole bunch of documents here. These are mostly documents from Transport for New South Wales and the open data site for the New South Wales government on how the APIs work. And there's also some documents in here around best practices on the use of Bolt.new, which is the AI coding platform that I use for the project. That all worked really great, and just going across to the API documentation, I've an engineering background, so that helped me to navigate and understand a little bit more around how these APIs work. From my prior attempt at building this application, it went around in circles and got tied up in knots on getting the right data. This attempt, I made sure I had the API calls worked out beforehand, and that made everything run really smoothly. That is an important step, but I was able to narrow down to the specific endpoints. Here, the Sydney trains, and if you dig through these, it's got documentation on finding the right stop ID and the right calls to get the next trains. Just another tool that I used was called Postman. This is great for just troubleshooting, playing around with the APIs. You can configure in here the different calls and just make sure you're getting back through what you need. I then also created a mock-up of the app. This is just a very simple mock-up that I created using Google Drawing, and I had a pretty good idea of what information I really wanted to come through, and so I fed that through to Bolt.new as well. Iterating on that, giving all the information, working out the API calls, I then fed that into my custom GPT, and I got it to generate a prompt for Bolt.new, and this is a level, it's pretty comprehensive. It's actually the specific one was a bit further down here. High level, spelled out high level goals, the scope, constraints. I actually went through a few iterations of this with my custom GPT, and I asked it to think about where Bolt.new might get confused or might incorrectly interpret. And I think 3 or 4 iterations to make sure that the prompt and the requirements were really solid, so we have confidence it's going to give the right output. The specific API calls that I'd worked out previously and how to go through and call those, etc. That worked brilliantly. And then, it was a matter of feeding that prompt in to Bolt.new Actually has two different modes here. It has a plan mode that you can use when you're giving it a prompt, which is always a good idea because then it can ask clarifying questions of you. It better represents the kind of interaction you would have with a software engineer when building an app. You select that option when you put your prompt in, and then you'll go through a few more iterations before it actually starts building the application for you. And switching straight across to show you what the output was, this is what it built for me. It's a functioning, real live, pulling data from the Transport for New South Wales APIs. It tells me between these two stations which one's coming up. It tells me if it's been delayed at all. It's able to access all of the real-time data. That's published. This is live. There is a URL. I will include it in the comments for this post. This is a live functioning app. So absolutely brilliant result. It's got me excited to do a lot more of these. Don't set this up with the right foundations and the right prompt and defining where it's going to get the data from. You can get a really bad. It pays off to put that investment in up front. If this has spiked your interest, if you have an idea for a web app and you need some help bringing that to life, we can definitely help you with that at Product.AI. We have a lot of experience in product management, so really refining the idea and helping you to work out if it's the right one to move forward with. If you're interested in just learning more about how I built this as well and some of the technical aspects, please feel free to reach out as well at ned@productedge.ai. Thanks for your time. Hope to see you again soon. Okay, bye.